Hello, everybody, and it's been a long time, but welcome back to an industry talk. Yes, Keone Productions is bringing back industry talks, and what better to start with during tax season than having a tax expert on here? One of my dear friends, Vinny, and Vinny is going to talk to us about taxes, and of course, you'll have my hijinks asking some questions, and I like to have people on that can explain things and not overcomplicate it. So one of the things we always talk about, Vinny, when we have financial advisors on, is I always get these financial advisors that can, people use the word dumb it down, but that's not what it is. They explain it so everyone can understand. Because if you ever read a financial book, they always write it as if you need 4 PhDs to know. And Sam and Steve explained, well, it's written like that because they don't want you to make any more money. They want people like them to make more money. So I love having people like you on. So tell us a little bit about your background, Vinny.
Sure. Thanks first, Peony, for having me here. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
I'm Vinita Chaudhary and I go by Vinny. I'm a CPA. I call myself as a business advisor because when we put tax as a word, it brings fear that, hey, I have to pay Uncle Sam as a tax. So no, we are bringing the value for the taxes. That's what our firm is, set apart than everybody else, that we can help you understand it, how to minimize it, and believe it or not, paying taxes is a good problem to have. It means you've made money, but how to wisely use that money and your profits to reduce the tax or implementing strategies. That's what we are basically doing and helping clients with.
Okay, well, let's start on the emotional side because whether you made money or you lost money, as soon as tax season comes, most people, the first emotion they have is, ugh. Well, maybe I'll just do it on TurboTax and that'll be done. Or I'll just go quickly do it at H&R Block. But one thing I learned when I did TurboTax is I don't know how many times, and this is not to, talk bad about TurboTax. This could be on my side, but I didn't understand taxes. So I'm just filling out stuff. And then, I get a $7,000 tax return, and then I get a letter a year and a half later saying, wait, you shouldn't have gotten $7,000 because I don't know what I'm doing.
I completely agree with that. So, yes, it is a season and it's a fear because when somebody else is doing, you're like, oh, I have to get my taxes. So, first, it's a tedious job to get your documents together, making sure nothing is missing. So, how we are different than, TurboTax or what personal services we can help with is we have a list of the documents which came last year. So, if any of the documents is missing, we will tell you upfront, hey, your 1095A from your marketplace, which was health insurance, is missing. Do you have that? So first, you're not submitting to IRS incomplete documentation. That's like the first benefit we are bringing compared to TurboTax or any individual, like, when we have a recon. Second, yes, everybody do not understand taxes. We are picking the highlights and the bold words that I should get this deduction. But do we understand in that 40 pages tax returns what is happening? So having a professional is just a peace of mind that I did not leave any money on the table and I did not, took too much.
Yeah, and I didn't pay more than I needed to pay,
Yes.
right? Well, it's funny because you say all your documents, and every season it can change. For instance, I just did my taxes with you. You think you have everything, and then, one of the investment brokers sends me a tax thing going, oh, hey, by the way, here's your tax documents a week after I've sat there and done them with you. Thank God they're not submitted yet. But it's like, because it's not like the 1st of January comes and everyone who needs to provide you documents sends you documents.
Yes. So it's upon how the collection of the data is. Basically, the tax season officially starts January 27th because till 31st January, all the companies are not like legally liable to issue the 1099s and the stock exchange documents. But we should ideally wait till February 15 to submit it unless you know that you have not invested in taxes.
Right.
That is also in between of the year, Keone, how we are having a relationship from last 5 years. If we need a meetings in between, if you invested the money in stock, if you're planning to sell any stocks, now with that personal relationship, I know, oh, you will have a document from tax, and we can also implement like a tax strategy that did we have gains, did we have passive incomes, or did we have passive losses, which we can think of how to set off and use those losses. So that will be a great thing, like having a checkup quarterly and meeting those in the meetings or sending emails that, hey, this is what I'm planning to do, and we can strategize more.
Yeah, because I didn't even so not that I didn't understand anything totally, but sometimes you need to maneuver a different way. Like for instance, someone may be getting paid on a 1099 for a contracting job that they do, but since they're self-employed, are they putting that under their personal, or are they assigning it to their business? Did Keone Stevens make that money, or did Keone Productions make that money? And that's a distinction that can determine how you're, if you're paying a lot or a little, or being owed money. So sometimes those things need to be explained correctly. And then there's so many, you start listing forms when I'm in there, and I'm like, I just thought there was a W-2, a W-4, a W-9, and a 1099. That was it. What's a 1090? You just start saying all these things, and those are things I don't know.
That is confusing for a lot of people, no matter how many years they've been doing taxes, because it's a continuous education, which we just forget about it for the whole, 9 months, when we just talk about these documents in the first 3 months of the year. And believe it or not, everything starts from the same wordings, 1098, 1099. But yes, what we help with the clients on educating, that if you are having a business and you having a 1099, basically you are a contractor. It is your business. There's a different way of doing a business. If it is just a sole proprietor or a LLC, schedule LLC, which comes inside your personal tax return. It also happens when how you formed the company. Like if you made a company with 2 partners, then a separate tax return is done, which is 1065.
Yep.
So basically a baby is born, you have to check the birth certificate at the same time, and you understand. It's all about education and, helping understand, because unfortunately, we do not have those education system in schools, whereas everybody is using finance. So yes, something like these webinars, and I do myself personally, as a speaker, guest speaker with Wake Tech Community College every month. And we cover these small basic questions, because small entrepreneurs, when they're making businesses, they need to understand that, so that they feel comfortable that even if a tax accountant is talking to them and requesting documents, you know it. If not, like multiple times, you get a muscle memory with repetition. Oh, my tax lady asked this next time. Let me make a note of it. And then the same email goes every year with what you understand in your tone. That's where we bring personalization to
the
the
important
plans.
thing that you said in there is these basic things. And that's the thing that people, it's the small stuff that gets people in trouble and trapped. Now, one of the things, the dangers, when I was in my early 20s, I didn't do this, so IRS, don't go looking up my files, okay? But in my early days, 20 plus years ago, when I didn't have any money, and my friends didn't have money, they would laugh at me, because it's like, why are you going to H&R Block? Why are you going here? They would go to these people that do taxes in their home. Okay. They'd get their rapid return, and they're getting like $9,000-$10,000, and I'm looking at them. I'm like, there's no way that you should be getting $10,000, but people would just do stuff, and how that person doesn't. And people go, well, why doesn't that person get in trouble for doing false tax returns? Because they have you sign something that says all the information on here you provided.
Correct.
And so they're not on the hook for it. And then you're stuck here wondering why the IRS is trying to ask you, why did you get $10,000 on your tax return that you weren't supposed to get? And then you're looking at your tax person going, and that tax person's going, hey, you signed the thing. You gave me. So I'm very weary of, hey, I do taxes out of my house. Or, I've always been scared of those things.
I agree. So think about it when we go for advice. There are so many people giving advices. Yeah. Right. So a tax preparer is a very small education. You do one-time course and you can sign off the taxes. But how it is differentiated with the person who is professionally doing it, like a certified public accountant or an enroll agent or a tax attorney, they're understanding tax laws more. You are lucky after getting those friends who got $10,000 profit, never got audited. But if they by 1% also get audited with the computerized system, they will be in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
And their name is flagged for years, that no matter where they're doing, the IRS is not issuing them the documents same time. They go back in the scrutiny, because whether they did it or on their behalf, somebody else did it. So be very cautious. like it's a spam sometimes, I would say, that don't fall into who's giving you more refund, but understanding that how the refund is triggered. Are they doing something different? Like checking it yourself also. I'll give you one example. One of my client was getting a big refund, and she came back. Usually, I do not get that. Can we see what's going wrong? And we, saw the documents, and looks like one of the tax preparer did not, inputted the correct information with the expenses or deductions. So that's also a checkup where client realizes that is not happening. So reassessing and seeing those documents again to help. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's extremely important, but we also know why. I'm not going to sit here and pretend. It's when you are on a lower income and someone's dangling a carrot in front of your facing, I can get you up to $8,000. It's a very hard decision. I've got $30 in my bank account. Let me just do it. But that off chance that you're that lucky person whose number's pulled and you get audited. Whew, that was one thing I was scared about. So I never would do it because it scared the bejesus out of me.
Trust your professionals.
Auditing is not fun. Getting audited is not fun. You think doing the tax, sitting down with her and going through numbers is not fun? Go ahead and go through an audit.
Write your proofs before doing your taxes. Like if you are claiming a reductions, let's have evidence of it, because I was an auditor also. Previously with
I didn't know this.
With my career, I did work.
I'd have to watch what I say around her now. She might have connections still.
So yeah, I have worked with Big Fours, KPMG, PwC back in my career. And when we audit those books, we ask for each and every receipt. We ask for each and every email, and we do not close the audits till we are satisfied that yes, there is nothing missing. But that, one triggering of the audit opens the can of worms.
Yeah.
And you have to be careful about. And having evidence is always good. Again, it's a good problem to have, as I mentioned. So why not put everything true on the tax return, but strategically save your taxes, being compliant.
Yeah. Don't wait till the end to do it like I do sometimes. Track it along. They have systems that you can, QuickBooks is one and other things, but then you can also have people that can control that for you, because I have a friend, she owns 5 businesses. She does all of her QuickBooks on her own. Every day at the end of the day, all 5 businesses, she's making sure everything is reconciled. I don't have the time or the capacity to do that. I'm struggling with one company. She's doing it for 5.
So anybody who is not having a background and they do not understand QuickBooks really should not messed up with it.
Yeah.
QuickBooks, so I'm a ProAdvisor with QuickBooks, and I have worked now 12 plus years with QuickBooks. So you tell me the issue and I know exactly where the issue is happening. If the invoices are there and you made the payment which are not matched, you're now having a duplicate income and you're paying more taxes. It's a problem.
That's when you had to clean mine up 3 years ago. Mine was I remember you guys spent 3 months trying to clean mine up, because also if you're not on there all the time and they update and change things, then you go on there and then everything looks foreign to you. One thing I want to get out of today, as well as we'll have people that may not understand things, is some people don't understand what they're getting into when they take a job that's paying them a 1099 because they have W-2 on the brain. Okay. Whereas in the W-2, well, I'll let you explain the difference.
Yes. So let's talk about the difference about W-2 and 1099. W-2, if you're getting from a company, you are basically an employee of a company. When you say as an employee, it means the employer, whoever is your boss, is paying your taxes on behalf of you, 50%, and then you pay the 50%. So it means IRS is getting taxes with every paycheck. So when you say, hey, my salary is this much, but some tax is deducted, it goes to Medicare and the Social Security, which approximately is 15%, 12.2% is for Medicare, Social Security, and then Medicare. Now, what happens is a 1099.
Wait, hold on before you say that, because I have to say this, because you've probably experienced this. The most cruelest thing parents do is they don't tell you when you get your first check. So every kid that's been a teenager that has worked their butt off and they think they're making, when I got my first check, I was like, I know I'm getting like $280. And then you open the envelope and you go, where's my money?
Yeah.
why am I getting $102? And then your dad or mom just laugh.
Tax.
And then they go, yeah, about that.
Yes. I wish at that same time every teenager goes a little bit one step. What are these taxes? What are we paying for? Because that's the base. But believe it or not, nobody looks at their W-2.
No, we're just mad.
We just see the money in the bank. Yes. And so that's the understanding of a W-2. One class I took in the Wake Tech, I was just explaining, just understand your W-2 boxes because can it be an error? Yes. If your payroll company is very small, there can be an error. So that's like a tax reduction at source, and how much you are paying to the IRS in advance. That's what, on that basis, you get the refund.
Yeah. And I remember asking my dad, I said, who is Fika? I don't know her. And my dad's like, it's not a person. And I was like,
Oh my God, you're funny.
I was like, I don't have medical problems. He's like, no. And so he's like explaining Social Security. He goes, yeah, you get that back when you're like 65. I'm like, I'm 17. Like, I was so broken.
I understand. And think about the people now who already contributed all these years to Social Security. And the Social Security website itself says we do not know if we are in deferral or not. So it's a fear for the young generation who are now getting a W-2 and their taxes are deducted at source. So a lot of people are like, moving to 1099s or contracting. So let's move to the other side of the table now. So that is called 1099s. If you are working as an independent contractor, means your boss is your manager or as your partner now, but whatever commissions you're getting, you get it on a check, the full amount. But now it is your responsibility or that teenager's responsibility to pay the taxes. In that case, you have to come either to a professional or do a math yourself. You pay quarterly taxes every time to the IRS, and your employer is not contributing. Big negotiation, Kioni, there. If you're getting, I'll take a big number, 100,000 on a W-2, you should not be getting 100,000 for the same job on a 1099. You will negotiate that, hey, give me 120,000 because now you're not paying my taxes.
Yeah.
I will be paying my own taxes. So understanding that at a very young age is so important, that what type of jobs I should do, or even for parents, that how my child should be paid if they go and pick up a part-time
You just
job.
said an important thing. So like if I was being contracted to do a job and I had a price, I should calculate how much the taxes on that are going to be. So let's say, because I'm from Florida, don't judge my math. But let's just say after I calculate the taxes, the taxes are going to be an extra $60 on that payment. Well, then you need to pay me $60 extra.
That's right.
On that. But people don't know that. And also, we go back into the trap because I like being realistic. A lot of people may know this, but when you're telling them, and this is the problem with, the living wage and trying to pay people enough. Some people say, well, I'll deal with it later because I need more money now. And that's the trap that they fall into because of the economics.
That's right. The present value of the money is always higher. So everybody wants to take care of their issues now. The best way to get yourself disciplined is open a separate account if you're a 1099 contractor and leave at least, I would say, average 15% in that account every month. That's called discipline. Because if you are behind on your taxes, if you're not able to pay, there's a reason. You got too much money upfront. Now your habits have changed. You are moving towards a luxury life without thinking that you have to pay to the taxes to the government. And believe it or not, a lot of people say, hey, why do I have to pay? I know Medicare and social, but think about the other taxes also, what government is doing for us. We are using the roads, we are using the lights. So that's how the money is going to the state tax.
Well, I don't like that you bring that up because I moved to North Carolina. I'm from Florida. There's no state tax, right? But I moved to North Carolina. Was my first, and then I moved from Florida to Texas, which is another state with no state taxes. So state taxes was foreign to me.
Okay.
And to register my car in Florida, it was like $49. They give me the sticker. I go about my day. I moved here, and it's like, yeah, you have two cars. Your taxes on your car is $389. Oh yeah, and you owe state taxes, and yada yada yada. So my thing, I was like, well, I'm paying state taxes. Why can't y'all put lights on these highways? These are the darkest highways I've ever been. I've lived in 7 states, and I've never seen highways this dark. I'm like, where is my money? Why aren't these potholes fixed? Where's my
Something
money?
to bring to the state attention. But North Carolina.
She's like, don't. That I go through the same problem. Don't bring it to me.
I agree with that. North Carolina is becoming better with the state taxes. Good for everybody to know
Yeah.
that it was like 5.5%, and now it was last year 5%, and this year it is 4.5, and we will see gradual decrease in that. I'm a real estate broker also.
Yeah.
And one reason, if you search best top states to live in US, the fourth number is North Carolina. Because we are bringing more businesses here to operate because the corporate tax is decreasing. And people are motivated to move in here because, not Florida, but compared to other, states where the houses are expensive, the cost of living is expensive, North Carolina is still
It's
affordable.
it's in states do that, and then they'll at some point they'll change it. You're like when I first moved here, there was a lot of filming done here because 15 plus years ago, people were trying to get out of California doing the filming because of how much it costs. So North Carolina gave them a lot of tax breaks, but then North Carolina got a little bit greedy, and all of them moved to Atlanta, and now Atlanta gets everything. And so I just hope it stays that way. But another thing that you mentioned that you bring up is also, as a commoner, I don't understand because I'll get these things on the internet. Hey, if you live in North Carolina, you need to know this about a tax break. You need to know this about this. And I never take the time to stop and read it, but you would know all those things.
That's
I don't
right.
know the tax breaks that come up and
That's
go
right.
away on a yearly basis.
Have you heard about the One Big Beautiful Bill? Which
Oh
Trump
my God,
just
please.
fought?
Oh my God.
Okay, so think about it when the One Big Beautiful Bill came. I think so it was January 2025 when the bill came. And the
Hold on.
things were
What's it
like
called again?
One Big Beautiful Bill.
That's what I think about when I hear the one big beautiful bill. The thing that before you get into that, the problem with the one big beautiful bill or all bills is common people see the highlights and they never see all the other stuff that's under there because who's reading 700 pages?
Yes.
Not me, right?
And then everything is not, applicable to everyone.
Correct.
So there's always a star, asterisk marks, and then you have to go detail. So we do, when something big changes happen in the tax world, a lot of calls and emails start coming to us and, hey, I heard about this credit. Am I eligible for it? And I'm like, we have to find it out and first read the whole bill, understand, and then see is it applying it to them or not. Because their tax bracket can be this. So while doing in the software at the end of the year, we have a clear picture. But when we're trying to give the advice ahead of time, which clients wanted because they are planning if they are getting the EV credits, should they buy Tesla anymore? So somehow, the US, the big bill, the credits went away, or that was the last month when they were getting credits. So the planning was changed because of that. So yes, we are up to date on those bills. We learn it and then we bring value. Some of the things which we also did is, if we know it is applicable, like for seniors, they are getting an extra amount of refunds or deductions this year. So we know whatever they are deducting from the W-2, they will be getting a paid
That's a
refund.
thing that'll change season to season too. The amount of deductions or the limit on the amount of a deduction you can get from a specific thing will change all the time. And I'd be like, wait, they told me I can claim up to 500 on this last time. Well, it's 250 now, and it's like, oh my God. And then the one thing that's depending on what categories you are, people look at taxes as the income bracket, right?
Yes.
But then you have those sub things. Are you a single person? I could be in the same income bracket as you, but am I single versus you being married with 4 kids? That's a totally different thing.
Yes.
And so it sucks out here for single people who don't have kids.
I have a
They give us
table
no help.
in my office always because when people say, oh, I made more income, but why I'm paying more taxes? I'm like, your tax bracket just changed and it jumped so much that you're paying more taxes from
And you don't have
10%.
dependents.
You don't have dependents. The kids have grown up above the 17. So yeah, I think the day before yesterday, the gentleman was calling from his gym and he was like, Vinny, I used to get $6,000, refund every year. What happened? And I was like, how much your income increased? Oh, that doesn't matter. No, it matters.
No, it matters.
Because rich people pay more taxes.
Yeah.
I would say, because they are moving to the higher tax bracket. Now, the whole income has moved
They get more
with the
breaks,
different
too.
brackets.
Yeah.
So, and then the kids, when they are above 17, instead of $2,000 child credit, now you're receiving only 500.
Yeah.
So that's
You
also
got to know these things. And then I always tell her the joke, I'm too poor to get help and I'm not rich enough to get help. I'm in that place. But I'll give you something you may not have known about. That's a good story about taxes. There was an actor who became president
Oh,
back in the day. And he used to do films. He used to fight overseas and then he'd go do films. And when he made a certain amount of money, he's just stopped doing films, even though they wanted to put him in more films because he reached his limit. So what that means is if he did another film and they paid him 200 grand, he would have to pay 99% taxes on that 200 grand. So he was like, what's the point of doing the movie?
I should relax and sit
And
not
so,
work. Yeah.
can you guess who president that was?
No, I do not.
So it's the president that made, even though I'm not a fan of this president, he made the biggest tax breaks in U.S. history at the time. It was Ronald Reagan.
Okay.
So he came and did all these tax breaks because he remembered that he couldn't make more money because if he did, he wouldn't get any of it. And if you think about it, at the end of the day, whether you're rich or poor, and I think that's why people fear it. It's like, hey, I'm working my fingers to the bone, and then why do I have to pay so much? But then we don't think about, again, the infrastructure, all the things that if they fell apart, it would be a disaster. We forget about our luxuries. Yeah. The water treatment facility, how your water is being treated. Do you want to drink sewer water or you want to drink clean water? So we don't think about those things because we think about our own issues that are happening. And that's just a normal
As I mentioned,
thing.
good problem to have. Make more money, but be disciplined and understand the strategies. Take the advantage. So there's a very big credit which government gives. It's called earned income credit or research and development credit. People do not know about it.
Yeah.
If you are making a new software or a new invention, you just apply for that credit and you can get some money back. So government do help in those things.
Yeah.
There are some grants for some people. So just understanding where you are. And again, we say it's not only tax time when we help. As I mentioned, I'm a business advisor. Since you have an idea of opening a business, it's called ideate. Think about what are you falling in, what the permits are needed, what team looks like, how much will be in the payroll. Making a business plan and then stepping into it will help you make organize and choose your career. If you think so, this is not a good business, right away you move to the separate line. So that's how the business taxes are.
Yeah.
Again,
Oh,
W2.
and know your caps. I want to say this because we're to wrap up. I want to say know your caps. The one thing I didn't know was my caps. Yes, you can get tax deductions for donations.
Yeah.
But what I didn't know, one time I donated a whole slew of money and then I go to my taxes. I'm like, look, I donated all of, yeah, but you can only claim up to this amount. So all that extra stuff you gave away, that's good for you. And I was like, oh, crap.
So that's the point, and I'll explain in a more technical terms now. There are two types of deductions, either a standard deduction and one is itemized deduction.
Yeah.
Earlier, a lot of people used to qualify for itemized deductions and the donations were written off, but your medical expense has to be more, your other expenses has to be more, your taxes. What happened is, I think so with the act which we got in 2000s, the Job Cuts Act, Tax and Job Cuts Act, the standard deduction bracket was so increased that everybody was falling into standard deduction. So that's the base difference.
Yeah.
So a lot of time we get a big scenario if we see a lot of donations, a lot of medical bills, a lot of tax paid, which is called SALT taxes. We bring you from standard deduction to itemized deduction. Now, do I have to be, actively thinking about it? Sometimes the software populates those numbers, or as soon as we see, oh, something is different, then we plan accordingly that, hey, let's meet on your itemized deduction. So we bring that value that you do not leave no money on the table. That's like the compliance as well as strategies. So this year also, 40,000 is a tax limit. SALT tax deduction limit has increased. Earlier it was 10,000 only. Anybody who bought new homes, who have paid a lot of property taxes, who have paid a lot of DMV
And
or
I
stuff
always
like
hate when
those.
it's new, like when they go, "Hey, tax breaks," and it says, and I go read, and it's like, if you did this new, this new, this new, I'm like, what about us who've already had it? I was like, it's always, but that's just how things are. It's as simple as when you go, you have a cell phone company, right? And you have your bill, and it's always, hey, you can knock $50 off your bill if you're a new customer, and it's like, you know what? What about me? I've been with you for 12 years. What about me?
Always the promotions and marketing take over
Right.
everything.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
But don't fear taxes. It's not going anywhere. I have people that I know that haven't paid taxes, and they're like, "Ah, screw it. It's gonna come back." Get the right people to do it. The cost can also scare people of doing it, but you know what? That cost can save you. It's almost, I liken it to this: the amount of people who don't spend the extra $14 for the airline insurance are the same people that get costs hundreds and hundreds of dollars because something came up.
Yep.
And I had to
Insurance.
stop doing that. Stop fearing paying the extra $20, the extra $40, because when you can't do it or when something comes up, it's usually a lot more harmful than what would have happened. So, well,
And think about the time you're putting in, the
yep.
peace of mind you're not having, and the education. If you pay to a professional thinking, at least I'll learn something new when I go there and understand, that's worth it. Because now your education is refreshed. You do pay for your softwares. We are paying for the software. We are paying for the membership or training classes. You're paying something when you're meeting and doing your taxes. So it becomes worth. And again, somebody's taking money from you, like your hairdresser, right? They charge you money, but they make sure you look smart when you leave the door. That's what the professionals wants to bring the value to your taxes. That once we're doing your taxes, we make sure that you're getting better than what you could have done it yourself.
Yep. And not the people who stink. Everybody's on the wrong live. I just realized that they're watching. You guys are watching the image of Vinny and not the video of us. So make sure that
Are
you
you
come
able to read
to
from there?
Keone Productions and you go and watch the video. Yeah, because this laptop doesn't have an HDMI connector. So normally what I would do is just connect this to
Okay.
have the image on the screen, but I didn't notice it didn't have that. So I started a thing over there for this to be on the screen. But you guys make sure you catch up with that. And what she basically said to sum it up is don't be like me. People come in her office and they get educated. I come in her office and I go, Vinny, fix this. And she's like, well, Keone, if you know, I don't want to know, just fix it.
Believe it or not, it was like good connecting with you because last year you talked about acting classes and I was like, oh, my son needs acting classes. This time he talked about recording. And I was like, I need recording. So it also brings relationship. We are in the community. Why not, work together and help each other with referrals and stuff. Everybody's business deals with that.
So let's tell them how they can find you online and tell the people how they can find you if they live in the North Carolina, Raleigh, Durham area.
Yes. First thing I'll add, we are not only confined to North Carolina, we do taxes for all states. As a CPA certified, we can do all states. Another addition to our firm is we do taxes internationally. So when you see the sales are happening in Amazon, somebody is paying taxes for that. So they do come and find international experts, and we are first on the chat GPT list. So I was so happy when the clients come, hey, we found you there. So my website name as my first four letters of my name, which is Vinny, Vini, ViniCPA.com. Again, I'll repeat that, ViniCPA.com, ViniCPA.com. And then we do business as TaxGuru. So if you go TaxGuru, you should see exactly the same picture, which is right here in my red top and holding a folder with a group of people. There are associates and the partners. And one of the partner we have is Jack. He's my husband too, and he's the enroll agent. So, Keone, what do you think about Jack? And you met him personally.
I love Jack. You know why? Because every time I get done with you, Jack makes it better.
Yeah, so
You know,
enroll
Jack
agent.
knows how, and that's what I love legally. He knows how to get you straight. I think I owed like $3,900, and then when Jack goes in there and looks at it and starts to crunch the numbers and do the things, and now I owe the IRS $900 and something dollars. But hey, I still owe them money. But trust me, it's a lot better than where I started. So I love the transitions, how they have you come in. You don't just come in and see a tax person. I call them the minions. The minions crunch the numbers. Vinny goes in there and she makes sure that you have everything. You got all your documents. You have everything you're supposed to have. Do you have this? No, you need to fix this. You need to fix this. You need to fix this. And then you get to the big guy in the back and he has everything. He does this. And then he goes to work.
I agree with that.
I love it.
Understanding the system, everybody, it's so much, as you mentioned, so many laws, so many things. We just expertise in each department, separate departments. So that's where we bring value. I will also share my email, and I know you were writing there. It's vinny@cpajane.com. That's my email. And should I say my contact number if somebody wants to?
You can. All of this will be in the description for everyone. They'll be able to go down and get the link to her email. I'm sorry, get the link to her website. You'll be able to see her email, and we'll also have the location if you live locally. Okay.
Yes, near the State Fairgrounds, North Carolina. Just come and visit us.
All right. Thank you, Vinny. Thank you all. Learn about taxes, do your taxes, be good, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you.